Ridge, Brooke, and Eric are all giddy over the miracle that has happened, and Liam's recovery is still the talk of the office at Forrester Creations. After giving a blunt statement about how life is too short, Eric plays a Brooke-centric film that will made about the company's ties to Italy. Now that the trip to Italy has resumed, Brooke says she is considering inviting Nick. Ridge claims his challenger has not been invited, seemingly thinking he has the authority to decide who is allowed to enter the nation. Nick is described by Ridge as being arrogant, self-centered, and takes advantage of every possible situation, including Brooke, when they are alone with Eric. He accomplishes this astonishingly without a shred of cynicism. Ridge is right when he says that Eric wants him to break up with Taylor and get back together with Brooke. According to Eric, if Ridge isn't careful, Nick will take Brooke from him. Although he is aware that Brooke is Ridge's true love, Eric still has feelings for Taylor. Ridge claims that because Nick is phony and exudes false confidence, Brooke wouldn't fall for him. However, it's quite obvious that Ridge worries that's precisely what will occur. Brooke responds that Ridge is correct when he states that Nick isn't the proper man for her, since he is. She recalls the day he saw her through the keyhole in Italy and the time he came back and she saw him at the top of the water stairway. Then she says the most accurate thing ever. "This is absurd. Why is this taking place? This is too old for us." Is Nick able to win Brooke back? Nick shows up to see Brooke in the design office. He implies that she needs a man who is committed to her exclusively, which is definitely not Ridge in his opinion, since they quickly find themselves reminiscing. Nick claims that he came back to Los Angeles specifically to visit her. Although his mother, Jackie, is mentioned in a pleasant way, the chat mostly focuses on Ridge and how he's just not the right man for her. Nick claims to be aware of his feelings and to be thinking rationally. He says, "Come with me to Naples. Let me show you what I know about Naples." He wants to show her shipyards, right? Building a boat is similar to using your hand to write a love letter. Each coat of varnish is like tracking the contours of your significant other's back. It's slow, delicate, and extremely intricate. Brooke claims that she has never considered it in that way, and who has? In order to see your beautiful skin being kissed by the warmth of the sunlight, Nick says he is having a cruiser built and hopes to take her out on the sea. By implying that, "I might even let you wear my captain's hat," he heightens this temptation. Nick, who is by himself at the design office, contacts Italy to inquire about the status of his project. He then glances at a photo of Brooke and remembers their wedding. Will Ridge take Brooke up on her offer? Returning to the main office, Brooke tells Ridge that this trip will not be like previous ones. She suggests that having Nick present could be preferable. She notes, "Taylor lurks around wherever you go." When Ridge becomes agitated, "Why am I unable to have someone?" She goes on to say that since he is engaged, it is inappropriate for him to imply that she is incapable of having a partner. Naturally, Ridge makes an effort to say that he would accept her having a partner, just not Nick, you know. Brooke reminds her ex that Ridge felt deceived when she was promoted to CEO, which is why everything is this way. Everything was misunderstood, she claims. She is willing to forgive him even though he hurt her by leaving to start a life with Taylor. She cautions, "This is the last chance. I will simply take Nick to Italy with me if we are unable to accomplish this." She actually implores him to return home to her. Is Lee withholding something very important? Deacon discovers Sheila working on inventory at Il Giardino, while sitting with her foot elevated up. Lee soon stops by, and the conversation shifts to Luna. As the grandmothers attempt to justify Luna's behavior, Deacon is understandably shocked. He notes that after the girl had a miracle second opportunity after killing 2 individuals, she took hostages and shot 2 more. Lee makes it apparent that she holds Penelope and her inadequate parenting abilities responsible for everything. Luna would have had a happy life if it weren't for Poppy. The fact that she and Lee are becoming close over Luna astounds Sheila. Sheila gripes, "They don't even mention Luna. They're all focused on Liam's recovery." According to Lee, there won't be a service for Luna because it has already occurred. Sheila wishes she had known so she could have bid her grandchild farewell. On the bold and the beautiful, Eric Forrester is reaching the point at where it is acceptable for him to interfere in his family's private affairs and emotional affairs. According to soap opera spoilers, the patriarch of Forrester Creations will attempt to mediate a marriage this summer, and his future daughter-in-law will not be pleased. Below are spoilers for the upcoming month's episodes of the CBS soap opera B&B. Taylor becomes wary. Bold and the Beautiful recently announced that a number of the cast members would be traveling to Naples, Italy. Brooke Logan, Captain Nick Marone, Ridge Forrester, and Eric Forrester are all expected to make appearances in the episodes in Italy. Previews, however, suggest that a major accident may occur, and that chaos will break out across Europe. B&B spoilers reveal although it was clear that his fiancée Taylor Hayes wasn't pleased, Eric Forrester insisted that Brooke and Ridge accompany him on the Forrester Creations trip. Eric encourages Bridge reunification. Bridge has long been a big favorite of Eric's. Eric has consistently pushed Ridge to be with Brooke Logan, and claimed that they were soulmates when it comes to matters of the heart. It seems like Eric feels that his kid Ridge should be with Brooke if he is unable to. In any case, it is obvious that Eric is expecting that while the ex-couples are traveling together, romance would blossom between them. Spoilers for Bold and Beautiful show Taylor is not happy that her soon-to-be husband is going to romantic Italy with his ex, and she could even visit Italy to spy on him. Do you believe Eric's strategy to bring Bridge back together will succeed? As she sits across from Ridge Forrester, Brooke Logan's heart is racing. Even though they are in the revered corridors of Forrester Creations, the atmosphere is tense and chilly. As usual, Ridge appears preoccupied, and Brooke doesn't hear him when he claims to be loyal to Taylor Hayes. This must be the final opportunity she offers him, so she steels herself. She informs him honestly that she's overburdened and clears her throat. They are too old to keep returning to this same pattern of regret, longing, and heartache. Ridge pauses, his gaze vacillating between hurt and an unspoken emotion. She brings back recollections of their time spent in Italy, including the enchantment they previously experienced and the memories of their love crossing the river. She says that he has to pick her if he really wants to go on. She will, however, move on with Nick Marone if he is unable to. It's necessary, but it's harsh. There is no more time. Nick Marone is on a quest across town. He visits the design studio of Brooke. Ridge is engaged to another lady, he reminds her. He highlights his decisiveness and his potential for change. However, he is serious this time and isn't playing games. He gives her a concrete offer. A way out, a fresh start, and a future free from holding her breath. He goes so far as to compare building a boat to writing a love note with one's hands, fragile and delicate. On board, he imagines the sun kissing her skin. His captain's hat represents his vow to her. His tone is soft and full of intense desire. It's optimism, not apathy, when she gently reminds him that their relationship has always been pretty good. A slight change. He confides with his father, Eric Forrester, after returning to Ridge. Ever the family man, Eric thinks Ridge and Brooke are meant to be together. Clayton believes the entire Naples business trip is ideal for reigniting a genuine romance, and he doesn't respect Taylor's attempt to make things official before the big trip to Italy. He is deliberately creating situations, such as heartfelt speeches about family and love, eye-catching gowns for attention, and a business trip to a city filled with memories. In response to Ridge's claim that he is dedicated to Taylor, and that Brooke won't fall for Nick, he tells Ridge that he has always loved her. Eric counters that Brooke might easily leave him if given the chance. The distinction between longing and loyalty is becoming more hazy. Brooke returns to the workplace and speaks to Ridge once more. They're in too deep of an emotional battle for their own benefit, she warns him. She makes him think of the commitment he made to her in Italy. This is her last chance to forgive him, she explains. She will accompany Nick if he does not pick her. Ridge recoils. He responds with thorns disguised as concern. She is too intelligent to fall for Nick, who is a clown. Brooke perseveres though, and they always end up back together. She wants to experience the surprise he used to give her in Italy. This time, however, they are old enough to understand better. Nick thereafter goes back to his own world, admiring Brooke as she shines on the Ion fashion cover, while he calls someone with a quiet resolve that is clearly visible in his eyes. He recalls their nuptials and their twilight cruise on his yacht, the Shady Marlin. He moans at the recollection, but it's a wistful moan, one that longs to relive that particular moment. He longs for the future to return. In the meantime, Liam Spencer's situation becomes quite tense. Dr. Lee Finnegan clarified that Luna died earlier due to surgical complications, and the grief in the home is overwhelming. Despite being alive, Liam is once again on the verge of death due to an inoperable brain tumor. Guilt-ridden and immobilized by anguish, Bill stays by his son's side. Hope unintentionally told Bill about the diagnosis, which made him feel even more guilty. Grace Buckingham presents the idea of a final miracle, a covert operation that could rescue Liam, but it has to be carried out covertly. Desperate, Bill agrees without question. Brooke, Ridge, and Taylor put aside decades of antagonism to concentrate on what really matters: Liam's survival. In those hallways of grief and near-death experiences, as they dedicate their strength to a cause that transcends romantic entanglements, old wounds transform into unity. Their shaky truce is reminiscent of Hope and Steffi's reconciliation. However, underlying tensions remain as they work together, particularly in light of Brooke's decision. Lee Finnegan's disclosures regarding Luna in other places give more nuance. Sheila is disappointed that there won't even be a public service because she has handled Luna's memorial in private. Realistic and filled with remorse, Lee informs Sheila that Liam's survival was a miracle, whereas Luna had none. Missed opportunities, repercussions, and the silent dignity of unspoken grief are all topics covered in their conversation. Lee withholds information, which could indicate that Luna is still alive, or that there are secrets about her true location. Lee only responds that it's already done when Sheila insists that they commemorate Luna appropriately. These snippets of speech reverberate with the potential that there is more going on here. Ridge and Nick's tensions over Brooke blow up. Nick does not try to hide his envy when Ridge accuses him of circling like a shark. Their long-smoking sibling rivalry erupts into a fire. Nick challenges Ridge's allegiance and moral character, and Ridge even goes so far as to brand him a tool. Nick responds forcefully to Ridge's claim that Brooke is too intelligent to fail again by reminding her that Ridge is engaged, and that Brooke might be entitled to better. Brooke is forced to give in because of this emotional impasse. She gives a clear ultimatum: either pick me or let me pick someone else. Uneasy, Ridge declines Nick's challenge out of fear of coming across as envious and upsetting Taylor. However, Brooke notices the weaknesses and starts to rely more on Nick's promise of emotional security. She still has a strong affection for Ridge, though. The internal conflict continues. In the midst of this, Eric plays a video that will create it for the business that includes Brooke's famous entrance over the lake, and other highlights from their vacation to Italy. They all reminisce about the images. Uneasy, Taylor observes in silence from a distance. Ridge's expression falters, but he won't acknowledge it. Ridge is told by Brooke, who is both dejected and determined, that she will step up if he is unable to. Ridge snarls that he won't stop her, but he also tells her that she won't find true love with Nick. It hurts to hear that clown again. He is resolute, but is he? Luna's presence, or lack thereof, is a major theme in another section of the story. Will, Steffi, and Finn had set up a trap for her in previous episodes in an attempt to get her to confess about Steffi. When Luna saw that Will was wearing a wire, she threatened him with a revolver. Bradley Baker, the deputy chief, declined to take further action until he received firm admissions. Lee's enigmatic remarks on Luna's memorial now raise questions about whether Luna actually passed away. Was the death merely a front? Sheila is upset at Lee for taking care of Luna's memorial without telling her first. Lee says Luna never had a chance and attributes it to her mother's drug use. Is Luna truly gone? Her controlled grief raises questions about secrets. Meanwhile, Carter Walton is completely caught off guard when Daphne Rose makes a reappearance in Los Angeles. Her return threatens to upend Carter and Hope's future once more, after her previous presence had thrown their engagement into disarray. Carter, who remained devoted to Hope during Liam's medical crisis, now has to deal with resurgent rivalries and temptations from the past. Nick keeps upping the ante on his charm offensive as Brooke's heart continues to whirl in chaos. Uneasy, Taylor starts to think that Nick's involvement on the Italy trip isn't just a coincidence. Despite the fact that Marone Industries is headquartered in Naples, which makes his presence legally significant, Taylor interprets the play as Nick making a move. Behind the scenes, Eric is plotting and cautioning Ridge not to overlook what is directly in front of him. In the hopes that Ridge will eventually awaken and decide on Brooke, he is sowing seeds. Future spoilers point to further significant changes. Ridge will have a flash of insight following an incident in Italy, potentially including a tumble into the sea, which might permanently ruin Nick and Taylor's hopes of winning Brooke's heart. Rich may come to the realization that Brooke is the one he was destined to pick at this pivotal moment.